Good morning and welcome to this week's Grow, where we gather to recharge, organize, and work here as members of MWEG. We're so glad that you are joining us today as we have our guest, Sarah Perkins, who is our Senior Director of our Peaceful Route here at MWEG. She is going to talk to us today about some of the resources that we have available to all of our members at your use to use in your peacemaking journey and as you learn some of those peacemaking skills. So I'm going to turn the time over to Sarah and she'll show you where you can find those. And some of them are printable. There are some PDF links that she can show you that are available to you. Some can be used. We have some that can be used in teaching lessons or different things like that. So I'll let Sarah explain that and a little bit about herself and how she came to MWEG, and let's get started.
Hi, I'm joined today by Cal, my kid. So he'll likely be making commentary throughout. So I'm Sarah Perkins. I am a recent MWEGer. I mean, I've been part of MWEG for a while, but I recently started working at MWEG as a senior director of the Peaceful Route. And I came to MWEG initially through the abortion talks film, which I co-directed with my husband. And I'm so excited to be here in a fuller capacity. This is an organization that I care a lot about. Okay, so I'll just get started by sharing my screen. Let me do that real quick. Sorry. I've been using Zoom for so long, and yet it's always like a panic moment when it's time to share my screen. Okay, here we go. Okay, is everybody able to see it? Just thumbs up. Okay, great, perfect. Okay, so this is MWEG's website, and there's a couple ways that you can get to different peacemaking resources. This is my process initially was I thought you would just find it through the library, so I went to resources and library, and you can find some things here. If you go to peacemaking in the library, there's quite a few articles and different course modules connected to the practical peacemaking course and articles about the different principles of peacemaking. But if you're looking for like the fuller resource library, you actually are going to go to About and then to Our Mission and scroll down and hit the Peaceful button, which I did not know. That wasn't intuitive to me. So that's how you get there. And so this has the 6 principles of peacemaking, and they're linked here to the website of the King Foundation, where these were adapted from. And if you scroll down to the bottom, past all of the principles of peacemaking, there's additional peacemaking resources. There's also a little shout out to the little purple book, which I have here. And in the little purple book, there's quite a few essays on peacemaking, as well as Sabbath devotionals that have been written previously. They're like older Sabbath devotionals, but they're great. And a lot of them have discussed peacemaking and MWEG's role in peacemaking. And then there's also a message of peace to the world from MWEG in the little purple book. And all of those are actually really lovely. So if you are interested in the purple book, I think it's a great resource. Okay, so we're going to click on additional peacemaking resources. And here you'll find quite a few MWEG peacemaking resources. So you have the principles of peacemaking again. Again, it links to the King Foundation. But so right up here, you'll get several more peacemaking. They're mostly Sabbath devotionals in this first section. But you might recognize this one if you participated in the Summer Hope Experiment. This is what our executive director, Jennifer Walker Thomas, wrote about peacemaking on the train. And it's excellent. I actually really love this devotional. I think it's really lovely. And then down further, I'm going to get back to this in a second. But there's, oh, sorry. So down at the bottom of this, I assume several of you guys are likely aware of the Proclaim Peace podcast. That's linked here. You can also like Google the Proclaim Peace podcast or find it on the Faith Matters website. But it's just an hour-long, 45 minutes to an hour-long podcast that comes out weekly. or mostly weekly, discussing the Book of Mormon or other peacemaking through a peacemaking lens or other peacemaking related topics. And it's hosted by, again, Jennifer Walker Thomas, who wrote Peacemaking on the Train. She's our executive director, and then Patrick Mason as well through from Faith Matters. There's several grows connected to peacemaking below that. But I wanted to come back up here and show you, there's sort of two like modules that I think are really useful for like hard printable peacemaking resources that you can hold in your hands. The first is the practical peacemaking, and there's quite a bit of, this is pretty built out. So there's slides that you can get, and there's a handout. I'll show you the handout. And it's just a really thorough sort of handout walking through the practical peacemaking course, which I'll show you in a second. And it goes through different conflict styles. It goes through, gives you like questions for self-reflection. And then also links you to the course itself. No. Sorry. And then you can also look at the slides where all of these same principles are presented in slide format. And then the same thing for peacemaking through media literacy. Thank you, baby. So they have, again, the slides looking at how the connectedness between media literacy, being able to interpret media and recognize bias in the media and recognize misinformation, and how that applies to peacemaking and your peacemaking work. And then they have a handout for that as well. And so those are all things that you can like actually physically hold in your hands, print out, use as needed. But then I think the most useful, or what I think is really worth doing through and on this page, is the practical peacemaking course. And that's available through MWEG Central mostly, but it's sort of broken down here on the website as well. So here again, you're linked to the devotionals that I showed you earlier, into this 6 principles of peacemaking. But this course comes in 4 modules. And for each module, there's different links to like questionnaires and things that like help you think through how you manage conflict, how you communicate with other people, things that are really, really sort of essential to peacemaking, to like recognize what you're doing now so that you can start applying peacemaking principles to your modes of communication and to conflict management. And I've done a couple of these, and I think they're really excellent. So this one, for example, is just a questionnaire that you can do to figure out, like, are you conflict avoidant? Are you self-interested in your conflict? Just to sort of get a baseline for how you go about managing conflict right now. And then there's links to different grows that you can use, and then shareable resources on Instagram. If you click on that, it will take you to the Instagram page, and it will take you to this highlight right here, where there's a lot of resources linked through this highlight. I can't open it because I'm not signed into Instagram right now. But just know that if you go to that link, you'll come to this highlight on Instagram, and there's many different links that you can go to different resources. Let me find my page again. Here we are. So the practical peacemaking course, if you link to any one of these or click on any one of these links, it'll take you to the practical peacemaking course on Central, which you have to sign up for in order to access all of these pages. But like I said, it's broken up into 4 modules, and each module has different videos linked. Some of them are grows, but a lot of them are these sort of training courses on ways of practicing peacemaking in your life, on ways of adapting peacemaking tools in your modes of communication and conflict management. So you go through these different videos, and then you can come back to this on the website and take the conflict assessment quizzes, and then after that you move on to the next module. And there's 4 each, and each of them have, I believe, these 4 sort of video workbook things, and then they have optional grows that you can watch as well. connected to all of that. And so I think if you're looking for like a thorough introduction to peacemaking, like course that you want to do to like revamp all of your communications and such, I think this is an excellent resource that's provided for free on MWEG Central. And so, yeah, I think this is probably the best resource that MWEG, or the most thorough resource that MWEG has created and provided for free. And though that's mostly it, of course, there's always more peacemaking resources or more discussions of peacemaking through Grows, through the Peacemaking podcast, and through other MWEG events. And so I think also, of course, keep checking your chapter events, keep checking MWEG national events for other peacemaking opportunities. Those are the main ones. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions or anything specific that you're looking for or interested in?
I would be curious to know how, if there's anybody that's on with us today, if anybody has used any of these resources. We have printed copies that will be at the Restore gathering tomorrow and Saturday that you can pick up of the printed materials for lesson helps. If you happen to be teaching like a family home evening, you could do the media literacy or the practical peacemaking. But I was just curious if anybody on our call has grabbed those and used some of those resources in teaching in any of their lessons. And maybe not.
Not yet. Well, the other thing that's worth noting, if you're able, is anybody here planning on going to the Restore conference? Great. Yeah. So Jen and Patrick are speaking. They're like the penultimate address on Saturday. And they, at that, after their address, they're going to hand out it's like a one pager basically that has peacemaking for little kids. I helped develop that this week. And it's just a little like really bite-sized lesson for working with little kids to start developing some nuance and openness to people who look and believe differently than them in a way that's age appropriate. Just for littles, they tend to be so black and white in their thinking, which is totally developmentally normal and appropriate. But it's a resource for helping them think about how they can be peacemakers in the world and how they can love the world in the same way that God does, or more like God does. And so that will be available for the first time at Restore in Jen and Patrick's presentation at the end. They'll hand it out.
Yeah, and I think we'll have some of those. Emma will be represented there, so you please come stop by and say hello. One thing that I would also recommend is if you, we always post the link to the YouTube recording of our grows, and a couple years ago we had a consistent every month we did a practical peacemaking grow with Emily Taylor, and she had some great resources for peacemaking that you can go back to our YouTube, the MWEG YouTube page, and if you look under grows or under practical peacemaking, they should all kind of be grouped together. And those are just some nice things. I often tell people that if you don't have time to sit in front of your computer and watch it, you can always pop your phone, turn it on your phone and listen to it similar to a podcast. But she has a lot of slides that she uses that give some good visual to just ways for peacemaking within your families, interpersonal relationship peacemaking that may come in handy in the next couple months. You just, as this election season really is about to ramp up, those might be some things we want to revisit and some skills if we haven't had to use them yet, that we just might want to refresh your course on. So I would highly recommend that as well. But I think going through the website, Sarah, as you just showed us, is a great way just to go into this prepared, right? To kind of set our minds and think. I know for me, it kind of has changed the way that I go into conversations and to try to be curious and ask more questions. So they're really great resources, and I can't say more good things about them.
Yeah, I don't know how to say your name. I'm so sorry. Were you going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to ask, you said you have to sign up on the MWEG Central for the peacemaking course.
Yes.
Is
Yep.
that,
It's run
is,
through Central.
oh, go ahead. Okay.
Sure.
So it's just a sign up, or is there a cost, or is it?
No, it's totally
No.
free. Yeah, you just have to
Oh,
say like, I want to start this course, and then
okay.
yeah.
And is it something you can do as a group, or is
That's
it more individual?
I think that's a great idea. I don't think there's a way to do like it's not set up to do as a group, but I
Okay.
think you could absolutely reach out to other women in MWEG or outside of MWEG.
Okay. Okay.
They would have to join MWEG Central, but I think it
Okay.
would be a really fulfilling thing to do as a group for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
definitely set up as a like go at your own pace because you could just watch a little bit, or read through a little bit at a time. But it actually be like interesting to do as like a book group type
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
and talk about. But I like that idea. Maybe we'll implement something like that. But the MWEG app is free. It's just that as Facebook is making it trickier for us to reach our members, it's an easier place for our members to gather and have discussions. And so a lot of members they post questions there for discussion, similar to the Facebook discussion group. But the thing about the Facebook discussion group is that all the resources aren't there. So there's a toolbar on the MWEG Central app that you can go and find the different areas that you're interested in, or the resources that a lot are on our website, but also they're all in one place on the app. So it's a good resource to have, and it's easy to do from your phone. So if you're waiting in a waiting room or in the car for kids, that's often where I find myself. I can go check the app and kind of just catch up on something quick. So
Thank you. Thank you.
And it's the course was created by Emily Taylor. And, and she's just so knowledgeable and so I think deeply resourced in the field of peacemaking. So I think it's an excellent course.
do we have any other questions about the practical peacemaking course, or any other thoughts on how you might use it, or if you have used it? We would love to know. If not, I'm just going to put a plug in. Please take a look at it. And like I said, there's a couple PDFs that you can print out and just have as, like I said, lesson helps. You could incorporate them. There's a lot of resources from conference talks that you can tend to add in based on peacemaking in that resource. So you can go back and forth between that. So definitely take a look at that. And we are, again, thankful that Sarah would come and join us on today's Grow and introduce these resources to our members, and also that she is our peaceful root for MWEG and implementing those practices. Thanks for joining our Grow to all of you who are here, and we hope that you'll be back. And if you are going to be at Restore, come and say hello. I will be at the MWEG table. Jen Thomas and Emma Petty Adams will also be there, and a bunch of other members and leadership will be milling around. So come say hi. And otherwise, we'll see everybody else next week on the Grow. Thank you. Thanks, Sarah.
Can I just say something real quick? Just
Certain.
I do think it's worth I should have said this earlier. I apologize. But I know that this is a really contentious election season. I recently relocated from Boston to very rural Idaho. And so I've been in like really different places in the country. And I think universally around the election seasons, I feel a lot of fear and anxiety. And just I also feel like a universal goodness in the people around me in both spaces, and a desire to make the country a fair and good place to be. And I think these peacemaking resources are really helpful for feeling, if you are prepared, you shall not fear. And I think these peacemaking resources are really helpful for being able to connect to the humans around us that often feel very scary around election seasons, and to see them again as our brothers and sisters in Christ. And so if you're feeling fearful, I think these are an excellent resource to go into the election season feeling more connected to your community, more hopeful about the future, and more prepared to do the hard work of advocacy, but also connecting peaceably with the people around you. That's all.
There was one question about what the old series was. It's the Practical Peacemaking series that Sarah Taylor did, and you can, if you go to YouTube, to that YouTube page, and you look in the grows, and we haven't done it for a while, like we haven't done that series. It's kind of stopped for a while on pause. You scroll down and find Practical Peacemaking series on there, and there may be, I don't have the YouTube page pulled up right now, but there may be a practical peacemaking playlist as well. So you can search the page and put in peacemaking, but if you search the grow playlist, it'll be there. You may just have to scroll down because there's a lot of growth. So that's the best way to find them. But we love the growth. We love to be able to share this information with our members and connect with you, just as a way to continue to give you the resources that MWEG provides and has, and to connect you with other organizations and ideas through the growth. So thank you for always joining us, and thanks again, Sarah, for being here. We'll see everybody next time.